Welcome back to Whispers of Turkish Stars, where the quietest whispers become the loudest truth. Tonight, a single line from Gökberk Demirci has set the fandom ablaze, split comment sections in half, and forced everyone to ask what love really means when fame is watching. He didn't roar or pound his chest. He simply drew a boundary so clear, so calm, that it rattled the old rules. He said he won't police his girlfriend's life, and he doesn't play macho. One sentence, and the industry felt the air change. People heard it and rushed to put it in a box. Some called it admirable, even ideal. Others called it naive, too modern, a fantasy that can't survive long nights and brighter spotlights. But the effect is real. Gökberk Demirci has refused the script that expects jealousy to equal love, control to equal care. He didn't try to look bigger. He tried to look honest. And honesty makes noise. Now, whenever his name appears, another name arrives with it, as it always has, Gökberk. Even when the two are silent, the internet fills in the gaps. The question humming beneath everything is whether his line about trust in space is a chapter from their shared book, a page from their past, or a promise about the future. The gossip world doesn't wait for official statements, it builds them out of glances, pauses, and the way people choose to walk into a room. But this time, the words came first, steady and unshakable. Think about the world these actors live in. Every coffee becomes a headline, every smile is a hint, every absence is a storm. And into that world, he throws a gentle refusal to control a woman he cares about. What does that do? It challenges a system that has long praised the possessive hero and shaken hands with the jealous guardian. It places respect above surveillance. It turns romance from a cage into a doorway. And it unsettles those who still equate love with ownership. He also spoke about something most people in his position bury in the glitter, the cold edge of fame. Fame, he admitted, has a way of isolating you. And yet he didn't wear loneliness like a wound. He called solitude a choice, a sanctuary he's learned to curate. The parties are fewer. The faces are fewer. The space is clearer. According to those who claim to know, he's trimmed his circle to people who speak softly and mean it. No more rooms where being loud is confused with being important. Not a wall, says one set of whispers. Not a bunker. Just a filter he uses to hear himself. And this is where the speculation returns to Gökberk. Because their story, however you choose to label it, is made of stubborn tender moments and long shadows. It's the kind of connection that invites both trust and doubt from strangers who have never sat at their table. When he says he won't interfere with his girlfriend's choices, 1,000 eyes dart to her feed, her clothes, her friends, her work. People want proof the line is real. People want a slip that proves it's not. But the truth doesn't stand on a red carpet, it lives on Tuesdays, in quiet decisions no camera catches. He added another line that made headlines without trying. He refuses to play the macho role. Not on set, not in life. He rejects the myth that a man must be a storm to be a protector, or a door to be a home. He questions the idea that power belongs to the louder voice. Some call that a tactic, an image, a PR strategy tailor-made for an age that loves soft men and strong women. Others say it's not a strategy at all, it's a skeleton, a structure he's been building since childhood, taught by a father who understood that decency is not weakness and rules are not ropes. There is another confession tucked between these lines, one that stings in a quieter way. He lost a friend over this. He didn't turn it into a melodrama, he stated it like a bill he accepted paying. A joke that used to pass in a room full of men is now a door he no longer walks through. A smirk, a comment, a shrug, these tiny pebbles can bruise. He refused to be the man who laughs along. And some people don't like men who refuse. The cost is isolation. The benefit is sleep. So when he talks about not meddling, about not dictating a woman's outfit, social circle, or posts, this is not a random whim. It is the spine of a larger way of living. It explains his careful choices. It explains the scripts he turns down, the shows he declines because they make noise but not meaning. Fame can buy you crowds. It can't buy you a compass. He's choosing the latter. Those who watched him closely have seen this shift. Fewer appearances that feel loud for the sake of loud, more quiet arrivals that make sense later. And then there is the past. It always arrives, doesn't it? He acknowledged that there are things he did once that he won't do again. Not a confession written in regret, but in clarity. The files reopened immediately, earlier interviews, older images, a timeline fans know better than their own. Was he speaking about choices in love? About boundaries he didn't draw, words he didn't say, silences he held too long? People guess. People always guess. But under the guessing is a man who says he has learned, and learning is rarely a pretty process. This brings us back to Gökberk, because the two names are stitched to each other in the public mind. Whether walking side by side or moving in parallel, their energies keep colliding in the headlines. She is an actress who built her own aura brick by brick, who has never needed someone else's spotlight to glow. That matters when the conversation is about space, trust, and autonomy. The rumor mills churn, weekends spent apart without drama, reunions that look like respect rather than spectacle, messages that say you do you instead of do as I say. Fans build theories, skeptics roll eyes, the story moves on with or without everyone's permission. And the industry is split, like it always is. One corner applauds. They call him a new kind of leading man, one who recognizes that love is not a leash and jealousy is not proof. Another corner mutters that romance must have rules, that too much freedom unravels intimacy. They want boundaries to be fences, not understandings. They want men to be guardians, not partners. But new eras are never gentle, they arrive with arguments. Acting, for him, isn't a mirror, it's a microscope. He doesn't want the easiest role, the one that sells fast and empties faster. He wants parts that cost him something, that leave him tender and rearranged. According to talk behind closed doors, he has turned down shiny projects because they glittered without depth. He prefers scripts that ask big questions about people and power and love, and that curiosity leaks into the way he loves too. If a relationship cannot breathe, it cannot speak. If it cannot speak, it cannot last. What does his famous line really threaten? It threatens an old comfort. It questions the romance of jealousy, the poetry written about men who confuse fear with passion. It asks whether a relationship can be a place where two people are both whole and together, where love is not a permission slip but a shelter. It draws a clean line between possessiveness and respect, and gently invites everyone to cross to the better side. Is it PR? Some will say yes. They always do. They said it yesterday, they'll say it tomorrow. But let's trace the pattern. You can fake a sentence once. You can't fake a pattern that repeats across years, the calm arrivals, the quiet exits, the refusal to turn private moments into theater. People who seek applause from intimacy usually make a mess of it. People who seek peace approach it like a craft. Still, the tension remains, humming like a wire between rooftops. Fans want to know if these principles live when love hurts, when schedules clash, when long shooting days strip patience bare. They want the camera to catch the unguarded moment, the one that proves or disproves everything. But the unguarded moments do not belong to us. They belong to the two names that started this conversation, Gökberk Demirci and Gökberk. The rest of us stand on the sidewalk and listen. You can hear the new vocabulary forming. Love as collaboration. Care as curiosity. Boundaries as maps rather than walls. A man who says, I won't direct your life for you, because we are not a film and I am not a director. A woman who meets that statement not with suspicion, but with recognition. That is the fantasy, say some. Or maybe it's the future, say others. Either way, the debate has become its own kind of theater, played out in comments, stitches, duets, and think pieces that quote each other more than the people at the center. And yes, there are those who miss the old stories. They miss the public jealousy scenes, the unfollows, the pointed songs. Drama sells. But growth is a slower burn. It doesn't trend overnight. It accumulates. It appears as two busy calendars that don't compete, as support given without fanfare, as a man who understands that trust does not weaken him, it anchors him. You can lift more when you set down control. Every time the phrase returns, it becomes less of a slogan and more of a practice. It shows up in how he refuses to argue on stage for the crowd, how he declines to assign blame to a woman for daring to be visible, how he treats her choices as her own. The old script keeps knocking, he doesn't open the door. He lets the knock echo and fade. But do not mistake gentleness for absence of fire. This is not a man without lines, it is a man with lines he won't cross. He will make mistakes, as all people do, but he won't let love become surveillance. He won't turn romance into a rulebook. He will allow silence where others demand spectacle. And in an age where attention is currency, silence can be the most expensive choice of all. So where does that leave us, watchers in the balcony? With questions worth asking. Are we ready to admit that jealousy is not proof of depth, merely proof of fear? Are we willing to accept that a powerful man might be the one who does not need to dominate? Can we celebrate a couple, whether together in the present or connected by a history that still glows, who prioritize dignity over display? The answer will be different in every living room and on every phone. But the conversation is the point. The discomfort is the point. When someone rewrites the role, the first reaction is to doubt the script. Then, if it survives, the script becomes the new normal. And maybe that is what we're watching now with Gökberk Demirci's steady refusal to meddle and his quiet devotion to equality. Maybe we are witnessing a small manifesto disguised as a casual comment. Here at Whispers of Turkish Stars, we watch these stories the way sailors watch the sky, searching for shifts, learning the winds, respecting the storms. Tell us what you feel when you hear that line. Does it sound like romance or retreat, courage or convenience? Do you hear a man who's found his bearings, or one who's still walking the shoreline? And what does it say to you when Özge Yagay steps into her own light without asking permission? For some, that image is a love letter all by itself. Like this video if you believe love thrives with trust. Subscribe to Whispers of Turkish Stars if you crave the quiet truths behind the loud headlines. And drop your thoughts below, because the most compelling scenes are the ones we build together. Whether these two share a present or simply share a legacy, one thing is clear, the old love story is fading, and a braver, kinder one is learning how to speak. Because sometimes the gentlest words are the ones that tilt the room. Sometimes the softest boundaries are the strongest doors. And sometimes a man saying he won't interfere is not stepping back from love, but stepping into it, finally, with both feet.